Hey everyone, Angelo here, Hollywood filmmaker, recovering hobo, man about town, sitting in my underwear, and I'm coming to you with news that's going to shock you. It's going to appall you. I'm here to tell you that landlords are scamming us all. I've just been thinking about that lately because it's one of the things I think about. I was like, where is any like honest housing, meaning like a co-op, a land trust, a community land trust, something where you actually have equity in what you pay to live in, or you can just own it outright without paying $1 million for a little one-story home. Turns out there is a community land trust out here. I reached out to them. They do not have any openings or vacancies to live there. It's in a good area too, like Beverly in Vermont. I'm like, holy crap, that's really good for me because it wouldn't be that far for me from where I am now. Although I really love being around Koreatown, uh, I just keep discovering like all the convenient shops that are within walking distance of me. Um, Man, I want to upload more videos. There's nothing I love more in the world than making YouTube videos for my These pants are distracting me. My Carhartt pants. Uh, yeah, I just keep thinking like, wow, it is amazing how much we are all scammed. I've been very busy just doing my writing classes, which are ramping up in assignments. I've been so exhausted, like pushing myself to the point where I don't know how to describe it, like the fatigue, but I keep myself motivated and going, but it's hard. I don't know. I take that back. I don't like saying it's hard. Just, yeah, pushing myself a lot. Trying to stay healthy. I really need to get a physical. My left rear molars down here, the bottom ones, are getting really sensitive. I think from grinding my teeth when I sleep. Um, I'm like, man, everything's too expensive. We're underpaid, and just all I realize is the only people who help us is each other, our peers, the working class, working people. By working class, I don't mean the way people normally describe it as like lower class, working class, middle class, whatever. I mean you're either a worker, even if you're making $1 million a year, and you're kicking up money to your bosses because you're making a salary or wages, or you're an owner, the owning class, who owns the companies, and their name on the company entitles them to a ton of money that they make off of your labor. So I'm like, yeah, all we do is just help each other. Stop waiting for some system in place to help you and go reach out and help someone or reach out to someone for help. So that's what I've been doing. What am I referring to? Uh, Not really about housing, but just seeing ways to either, like, first of all, improve my writing. So on top of my writing classes, I'm not just being complacent about that. Like, yeah, I'm taking my writing classes. I'm doing pretty well in them. In that, I'm not thinking saying doing well is like pleasing the teachers. Although there's that aspect, I want to make sure the teachers are like, yeah, your work's improving. But just as far as me understanding my process for writing and how I go about, diagramming my stories that I write for class every week, every day, and how I go about creating them, and how focused I am and loose and relaxed and not too stressed. Stress is a different thing for me at this point in my life as opposed to when I was younger. Stress is something that it's like constantly like stressing me, almost like a stress test of a machine or something, a bicycle. Since I ride a bicycle, like testing the strength of it. That's what I view it as. And along with that, uh, working a job and trying to, well, basically just save money, but also I want to think like at some point, I want to be, I don't know what to say, like just able to handle, not even handle my own life. Like, what do you call it when it's just like control over your own life? Like, yeah, I'm saving money, but I know if I were to spend it on something extravagant, like even a week long vacation, it would deplete that money so quickly. It would just wipe it out so fast. Same with getting my mom to visit here, and she really wants to visit now. She's really excited to visit because she keeps hearing all the cool stuff I'm doing here. Also, I joined or helped form basically a writers group. I'm going to meet with some screenwriters soon. I'm really excited for that. And it's not that the I always caution against dry hands. No, I caution against being like excited, like, oh, this is going to be exciting for me, for something to happen to me. In other words, it's like saying you're not going to, generate something in yourself, that like effort and work to make yourself better at something and have your own motivation. You're just waiting for something external to come to you and excite you, which can happen sometimes, but it's, fleeting. So when I say I'm excited for the group, I'm excited to do work. I'm excited to challenge myself and push myself beyond what I think I can do. And that's all I've been thinking is I'm doing what I don't think I can do. I'm doing what I think is impossible. Hard to get specific with that because it's just not really interesting, but doing a lot of stuff at work, which is great, taking new responsibilities. And it's not even like massively hard stuff. Again, it's like the mental game, because a lot of it is, well, just stuff, like I said, too complex, detailed, boring, I can't get into. But a lot of it is just like, I can't, in my body, I know myself as this, like, just what, street guy, or, just homeless guy, and guy who's been kind of not drifting physically much of my life. Like, I was just always, settled kind of around Northern Virginia most of my life, but definitely in LA, I was kind of drifting. But what I mean is, like, I was just lost. Yeah. So you're kind of drifting when you're lost, right? Just lost, not have, being in such a strongly dissociated state. Still do my exercises a lot for that. I've discovered Peter Levine, the doctor, trauma therapist. He's great. And some of the stuff like he teaches, I kind of stumbled upon on my own, like doing these body exercises to make your body feel safe. Like, I started doing this, just realizing I could clasp my hands like this, and it just makes me, even right now, like, get goosebumps and tingle and discharge this tension in me. I sort of discovered it by accident. I realized he teaches stuff like that, like doing this, like tapping your arms, and it helps to I'm getting like goosebumps now. And he says that tingling, which I've felt many times before, and I wish I knew to seize it, to go after it more, is that discharge of tension. I fully believe it because I went through it, like when I had my relapse of DPDR, depersonalization derealization disorder. I got to make these videos more focused. In December, or in the end of November 2019. And I remember it was the day before my dad died. Like, I was really tripping out over my symptoms. It was really bad. I was panicking. I was like, I just have to give in to them. Like, give in meaning give myself over to the compulsive racing thoughts that are going through me, religious thoughts and whatever sort of thoughts of, I got to save the world or whatever. And then, so I just gave myself over to them, and I just felt like this tingling so much, and this just release. Now, it was by no means over, and it wasn't going to end for a long time, these symptoms, but it helped so much to just, like, I thought by giving myself over to them, like, it was like giving my mind over and I would go insane. And it turns out it was just releasing so much tension. Like I say, it would be a very long time. I had so much tension built up before I would start feeling really normal, like 2 years basically. And even now, I've been undergoing so much stress, but I view stress differently. Before, stress was just misery and horribleness. Yeah, and it's like there's an aspect to that, that's going through me now, that I'm still going through. But there's also the idea, the feeling that stress is testing my strength. And I don't mean weak people collapse under strength. It's stress. It's just literally like that's what it's doing now at this point in my life. Like, okay, how resilient can I be? How many ways can I find of, like, sort of getting through it, like getting away from it, but by being healthy, not doing whatever. I don't know what I would do even to, not just quitting all my responsibilities and running off or something, but, stuff like eating right, sleeping right, which I'm not sleeping enough, writing, not procrastinating on the writing, which I've been really good about lately. Could be better, but it's doing so good since I've been off social media. Just being active, like pushing myself. When I think like, oh, this is going to be so much, it's weird. It's a trip. Like, I'm not, no matter what, it's like I'm still not used to dealing with like a bureaucracy and stuff, which is what a corporation is, and that's what my job is in a way. Not that it's massively complex, but it's like there are so many uncertainties with the job I have. I'm basically like a film librarian. That's all, it's short of it. It's just I do a lot of like complex stuff with records and everything. But increasingly, as I have more responsibilities, or I realize like, oh, I have to take on more responsibilities, I like that. I like doing that. Um, I don't like the fact that corporations expect us to do this and there's no reward for it. And if you're lazy, like, there's really no difference, like, as far as how they treat you. But anyways, and I don't even mean my company, just like in general. That's how the world is. That's how I've seen it at other jobs where I'd complain like, yeah, my coworker, he's just like making work harder for me, and they're like, Angelo, we just kind of need him right now. It's just kind of short term. I'm like, great. That was an enterprise rent-a-car boss basically told me that until I just walked off the job after I'd gotten in an argument a couple times with a coworker, and it was like the last argument I would have with him. Not a couple times, like 2 or 3 times I had arguments with him. One time we're almost gonna get in a fight. He like threw his gloves down, and I was just mocking him. Anyways, it was wild, but yeah, like just what like the lack of clarity with like, oh, how am I going to do this? How am I going to get through this? And realizing that's the wrong thing to focus on. Just focus on, okay, what do I have in front of me right now? What does life expect from me right now? It's not about pleasing my bosses. God, no. Your bosses are scamming you, by the way. When they want you to be grateful that you hired them and they're paying you, or that they hired you and they're paying you, yeah, it's like, first of all, they owe it to you to pay you, and you're the one who's making them rich with your labor. And a lot of time your managers are not making that much money. They just don't realize they should have class solidarity with you because they're on power trips, or they're messed up. They have their own disordered thinking and behavior where they act out on you and take out their problems on you. But then when it comes to really, the executives and owners, yeah, you're making them rich. If they had to profit share with you, oh, they would have to pay a lot. That's the first time I've ever done that. But I was like, oh, I can feel the money as I think about profit sharing with the workers. Anyways, and people don't realize their power, when they don't speak up. I swear, so many times in my life, managers have seemed shocked when I just speak up and say, not so many times because it hasn't really happened a ton of times, but it's happened several times, and I swear they seem surprised, like it just like a fuse blows in their brain, like a circuit trips. They don't know how to respond when I'm like, yeah, you just did that, like you just messed up. And or when I'm just answering honestly, like, I'm not going to answer the question the way you want, like you're trying to do a power trip on me, and I'm not going for it. And it puts them in a bind usually when it's happened because I'm a really good worker. And of course, like I said, I get nothing for being a really good worker. I get stuff and this is not about me, it's every worker. It's like virtually across the board. I've just been thinking about this stuff lately, thinking, man, workers, oh, if we just got together and, threw off our shackles of our bosses and saying, oh, you want to treat me like this? You want to underpay me? Screw you. I'm leaving. But of course, people don't have that option. And it's very understandable. That's how the whole system's set up. And then you're paying somebody. You don't own your home. The landlord owns it, and you're just paying them. You're making them rich too, when they're just the middle person. They're in the way of you having the home. Like, you could just go directly and get the home if they weren't incredibly expensive, which is in large part due to landlords. Anyways, and their lobbying and their, subsidies from the government and all that, and their connections to politicians, and a lot of politicians are landlords. Anyways, I'm ranting about the workers of the world needing to have solidarity and unite, the renters of the world needing solidarity and to unite. Also, take care of yourselves, be well as much as possible. It's hard when, you don't have the option of, eating healthy or eating that healthy or preparing good meals or sleeping well or living in healthy conditions or having roommates that don't terrorize you, all that stuff. So at the very least, what I've learned lately is speak up. Speak up to people. That's what I've been doing about writing, about, you know, living situation. Yeah, sort of, really. It hard to get into a lot of detail, but just when you have problems, speak up. I swear people like are afraid to, and I've been afraid to so much because it's like, oh, you're used to how things are. Don't say anything. But so many of the valuable lessons I learned on YouTube were flipping my story inside out. Instead of hiding being homeless, I put everything out there for everybody about it. How I lived, how I slept, how I showered, my daily routine, my schedule, um, how I made money, which for a while was just like working on film sets and YouTube and donations. But talk to people, start generating ideas about how to do this stuff, and also keep your own discipline up. You know, keep your places clean. I hate to sound like Jordan Peterson. Don't listen to that, the transphobic quack, that lunatic. But like seriously, like do things to be well. Keep your places clean. Like keep yourself clean. It sounds so ridiculous. Keep it clean, but for real, just like do things that help you have a little, sense of accomplishment, without the right wing bat shittery. I'm really tired. It's like 6:30 or something by now. 6:45. I'm gonna go to sleep for like the second night in the last 4 days or so to have good rest. I didn't get a ton of writing done, not by any stretch, but I know I'm like, the harder I push myself, here's the thing, the stress is testing me, but the harder I push myself, it's like the harder I'm moving the stress back and leaving room for me to burp, me to thrive. So, problem solve and all that. So, and it's just wild to think like, yeah, I make kind of decent money, but also I can't afford to get out of a situation where I'm not subletting from someone. It's kind of like under the table, the situation. The building's cool with it, but it's like to even get a room somewhere, you have to find a room listing that's not a scam, that's not just like a roach infested hellhole where the landlord's not going to rip you off or harass you, where it's not a scam outright, where they're just asking for you to wire them money and leave. It's hard to find like actual legitimate listings, and then the ones that are legitimate, it's like, oh, they won't even consider you unless you're making a ton of money and have been making a lot of money for a long time and can pay a lot of money up front. It's like, how is that legitimate? Like, even if I was filthy rich, I don't want to help somebody else get rich that way. I'd rather we all have equitable housing. So anyways, let me know what you think about all that, how your bosses are scamming you and your landlords are scamming you, and so much of the media and advertisements and stories we see like frame these as normal, like, oh, you should be desperately struggling to survive with the housing you have, with your transportation situation, with traffic and car ownership, and working a job where you're like put your whole life into it to impress your boss, and it doesn't really get you anything. So I'm gonna keep writing. That's all I could. That's the only kind of thing that gives me hope sometimes, and keep connecting to people. And that's the big thing. Is like I'm talking to people. I'm connecting with you all. Anyways, let me know what you think. Bye.